You know, I hit live and I'm not even ready. Why is this titled Getting Your Ass Spread? Oh, I remember. So today we're going to talk about mental health awareness. This month is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And I was like, oh, well, this is important. I am a man. And I don't take this. I never have taken the month of June as a time to like evaluate my sense of mental health. And I'm like, I want to do that now. I want to start doing that more. I also want to adjust. Hold on. Maybe I should. Yeah. Is that better? I feel like that's better. Now we can. I feel like now we can have. Now it's a little weighted. A little weirdly weighted. Oh, now I gotta fix the cameras. There we go. Oh well. So anyway, men's mental health. So I took this into account and was like, oh, I should focus on my mental health, and so I have, and it's been nice. It's one of those things that I think it's easily taken for granted. Male sensitivity on both ends of the conversation, and so as men, I think it is important that um, we open that door to vulnerability when it comes to it. So I wanted to. There was a video I wanted to look at. I gotta search for it because it was very. I was like, oh, we should watch this on stream because of the way it starts. It's so intense, like off top. So I was like, oh, we gotta watch this. And this is so relevant, and I can obviously talk about it because this one is about black men's mental health. So I was like, oh, I could talk about this. I could give some thoughts on this, right? As a black male, let's take a look. It's this one, but you know, I don't think I'm pretty sure. To be honest, like I said before, I think male mental health overall is important to evaluate, irregardless of race. Men, like each race, I think has to worry about their own level of mental health, like things that do affect their mental health on a day to day. Because I feel like it will be different for each race. Like I don't think Chinese men face the same issues as black men in their day to day, but they do face issues, right? And they do face challenges that they have to work to overcome, or that they may not feel able to like openly express, and they're just as important. So anyway, black male mental health struggle. Curtis Jasper, TEDx Georgia Tech Salon, 3 years ago. Let's see if it holds up. Okay. I mean, I know it's working. Here's a. Okay, so this is what fucked me up the first two times I started watching this video. It's dead ass silent for the first 20 seconds. So we're gonna just jump to a random spot here so I can hear the sound. Okay, it's working. Holy shit. Because I was like, the first time I watched this, I was freaking out. I was like, why is it so silent? Is something wrong? Everything is turned up. I should at least be able to hear his feet. But nah, it was just that it's dead ass silent for the first 15 to 20 seconds. And then it just, you'll see. Silence. Intro is silent as fuck. No music, no nothing. You can't even hear this man walk in.
Death.
First word. Death. Here comes the second word.
Depression. Divorce. Debt.
This is going to be a great.
Devastation. Deadbeat. Despair.
This is going to be a great conversation. And that's when I stopped it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we got to watch this on stream. Like, because I was like, that's crazy. That's how you open up the TED Talk. Death, depression, despair, debt. Like, you just start naming off all these horrible things with the title, The Black Male Mental Health Struggle. Because then it's like, okay, yeah, these are things that probably are what black men face most commonly, right? And I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna have this conversation, so let's do it. Let's do it, Curtis. I'm ready.
There is a black male mental health struggle. I became a therapist in therapy. The unsustainability of black male trauma,
Became a therapist in therapy.
black male rage, black male resentment is a real thing, an unsustainable thing. So what's the struggle?
What's the struggle?
1 in 4 psychologists are black. And when I say black, I mean that includes black men and black women.
1 in 4. All right.
According to the American Psychological Association, 4% psychologists worldwide, in this country, are black.
Okay.
For every 100,000 black Americans, only 1 black psychiatrist. 7% of black men received any form of mental health services in the last couple years. Right? Black youth, particularly black boys, are introduced with the struggle of mental health at a very early age. It's treated in elementary school by suspensions or special education referrals. So what's the black struggle? That's it. The inadequacy of practitioners who look like black men, who have a unique experience with mental health.
He needs to button up his shirt all the way. It's bothering me. It's only one button and it's like, why even button up the other one if you're not going to do the other part? Just do literally a 2-button sports jacket. Just button the other one or unbutton that one. Why are you doing this to me? Like, it was the only thing I could think about, and it's pissing me off. But he has a point. And I think that what he's saying is that the number of professionals who could essentially relate to the black struggle, it's far too few, right? Like, there's 1 for every 100,000 black men. Yeah, that's too much. So I think what he's saying is that essentially, if you're a black man and you're seeking some type of like mental health aid or whatever, the chances of you being able to find another black individual, whether male or woman, that could help you with your unique situation, being a black person, with your mental health struggles, it's less likely to find that. And I think I don't know if I could necessarily agree or fully agree or disagree, because to me, like, the reality is, for me, is like almost every counselor or therapist that I went to was a black person. Like, I think the very first therapist I went to was a black woman, and the counselor I went to in college was a black man. So to me, I didn't feel like there was like, I see that there is less black psychologists out there when you look for those resources, but I feel like it's also not hard to get those resources because of the fact that there's such a minority, that there's always ways to find those places in those areas where you can meet with someone like that. And I guess maybe that's the problem, is that you have to go and find these places where it should be as common as any other one. But I don't know if that's like, what do you do about that? You just have to influence more black people to become psychologists, I guess. I don't know.
What does that mean for all of us? The current mental health industry does not sustain black male trauma, black male rage, black male resentment, which means we have to look at the factors that are uniquely attributed to black males in this country. What makes me qualified to talk about black male mental health struggle? Well,
you're black.
Beyond the obvious of being a black male.
Oh, there's more.
I crashed in 2008.
Oh, no.
The year the mortgage industry crashed, the real estate market.
Wait,
right?
Did he get into a real crash?
That same year, my mother informed me she had stage 4 cancer.
Goddamn.
In 2009, I became a father for the 4th time.
The 4th time?
But this time was unique because the child was already 21 years old.
Oh.
Which means right before my 17th birthday, I had a child.
I don't understand what he's saying.
In 2010, my mother ended up passing away from cancer. I moved her from Chicago to Georgia before the diagnosis to live out her golden years under the sun of the South, to work with me and for me. She ended up passing.
I'm gonna do something real crazy right now. I need to also put in my hours for work. So I'm gonna do that on the side here.
In 2011, I went to what I now label as a very eventful divorce. I lost everything.
Damn.
I walked away from everything.
Divorce.
I lost my family, my spouse at the time away from the children, assets, things of that nature. In 2012, I experienced my very first panic attack.
Jesus.
Found myself in the middle of a public park here in Atlanta, lying on my back, crying profusely for what seemed like hours. In 2013, I had my second panic attack. This one was different. This one, I was with the partner at the time, and she said that she overheard me saying some things that were troubling. Later on that day, I had a special event I needed to be at. My friend at the time took me to the local emergency room because as black males, that is how we address our mental health struggles, right? When it really gets to a point, we have to see
I really got to put in my hours there.
someone at the local hospital emergency room. So, of course, they kept me 72 hours, suicide watch. I missed the court date. My partner at the time took the signed medical excuse to court at the time that I was supposed to report. The judge refused it, subsequently generating a bench warrant, and I eventually had to address that. That same year, 2013, my father passed, just when we were attempting to repair a 40-plus year fragmented, fragile, broken relationship. He passed. Went to Chicago, did the mourning, came back to Atlanta. 2 days after mourning my dad's death, I was pulled over by local law enforcement. I had to settle that warrant from a few months earlier. So for the next 57 days, I sat in a jail cell,
Jesus.
in a jumpsuit, grieving what I thought initially was only my father's death. What I now know was all of the stressors, the losses, the trauma, the rage, the resentment I had since I crashed the same year the mortgage and real estate market crashed. So during that time, I went to 5 different therapists. Now, I wasn't shy from therapy because my mother, bless her heart, she was ahead of her time. She took me to see a therapist in high school. We're talking in the 80s. The good thing is it ended up being family therapy, and we learned a lot of tools and strategies that really benefited us. But when it was my time, during 2008 to 2013, it felt differently, right? But I still went. I went to 5 different ones. The first 4, nothing. It was cool to share my struggles, but I didn't get any help. Why? Because it was irrelevant.
Okay.
Right? The practitioners who did not look like me were culturally incompetent.
I see what he's saying. All right.
They meant well. I didn't have time to teach them about my lived experiences. I needed tools and strategies. I needed them like yesterday. So after going through 4 different therapists, I gave up on therapy. I knew I was in trouble. It was evidence in my life. I still didn't know where to go. Good friend urged me to take one more attempt to finding a therapist. So I did. I found this gentleman. Walked in his office. I knew the drill, right? Sat down, poured out my heart, right? For the next 30, 35 minutes. And at the end of my spiel, the gentleman looked me in my eye and asked me this question that forever changed my life. He said, "You ever thought about becoming a therapist?" I said, "Man, what? Are you kidding me? I'm here for therapy. I'm not here for career coaching." He said, "No, hear me out." He said, "Look, I am about to retire. I've been doing this 35 years. I've seen black men come and go. I can't help them. I don't think the entire mental health industry can help them, but I think you can."
What does that mean?
I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, you're not clinically depressed. You're emotionally exhausted. You're sad. You're angry. You're devastated, right? You're going through trauma. You're grieving, but it's not clinical depression. It's the unique experience of being a black male in this country, right? I'm not asking you to give up on therapy. Just find someone who looks like you. Better yet, become the person you're looking for. You are your own solution." And I left out of his office feeling defeated, right? Devastated, right? I was pissed. Walked out of it. I said, "Okay, no worries. I'll figure it out." As a matter of fact, I'm not doing anything. 3 weeks later, I started to feel better. His words touched me spiritually, mentally, emotionally. I started feeling lighter, right? Things started to make sense to me. He went on to say, "Go back to school. Let your journey be a part of your healing. And somehow I think this is your purpose." This is what the last therapist told me. And that's what I did. That gentleman was a middle-aged white guy. So I did what he told me, right? It makes sense.
He was like, "I
He said,
can't
"It's
help
no
you."
accident you're here." I did it.
Essentially, this white dude was like, "Yeah, I honestly, I can't help you. I don't know what to tell you. I think you need to just become a therapist yourself. Find the answers, and you go out there and you help them. You be the Superman, your own Superman." I feel that. I like that. I like that, the mindset of, if you can't be the solution someone needs, help them see that they can be the solution that they need. The answer is always within. That's what movies teach us, really, that the answer is in us all along.
The necessary training. I dropped out of PhD program so I can add D to that list of Ds I started off with, right? So I got back in school. I had nothing else going on. It changed my life. So now I spend my days supporting black males, those who care about them and love them, and those who are raising them with a unique approach to black mental health struggles.
Nice.
You see, the struggle is because black men are not being taken care of in a way that really moves, and inspires them, right? Black males, we don't do well with one-on-one, right? We don't like isolation. We definitely don't do well with labeling. In the hood, we call that name calling. We don't do well with that, right? We don't do well with code switching when it comes to our lives, right? And we definitely don't have time to break down our lived experiences from others who need some type of explanation before they can give us some colonized version of how we need to go about healing. So I set out to create a unique experience for black men to address the black male mental health struggle. You see, as black males, I found out we need some things. We know a lot. We just need it in a way that we can use our own language to get it, right? We know about breath work, right?
I don't know
we
what
know
that
about
is.
meditation.
Oh.
We know about yoga. We're even for the dialectical approach, the cognitive behavior approach, right? We good with relationship and individual therapy. We'd rather have it in group, barbershop. That's where we're comfortable, right? Most of us have had some type of sport, so we get the importance of breath work. We get that. We just need it to come from someone who looks like us and who has walked the walk and talked the talk, right? See, as black males, we don't do what you say. We do what you do. right? So if you could tell us, show us, guide us, walk with us, we on something. And that's what I did. So,
Okay.
how does that look? How does that work in terms of sustaining the existing mental?
Essentially, what he's saying though is that what helps black men is seeing other is being around other black men who have been where they've been and came out okay because of it. Most black men grow up in environments where success for the black man is not the same thing for success as the white man. If you grow up in low income environments or whatever, right? And you see your uncles and your cousins and your parents and whatever doing shady shit, but it makes money, success is going to look different in that case, right? And so I think what's interesting is it's all about the perception that you are able to have about what a successful black man looks like, talks like, feels like. And a lot of what most black men have, I think, in terms of who to look up to, role models. There are people who are out of reach, meaning like celebrities or icons that you'll never actually have discussions with in terms of like positive or healthy things or whatever. It's either that or their fathers, right? Like it's always going to be their fathers at the end of the day too. People who they look up to because they provided or did something honorable in some degree. But the problem with that is too is that most black men meet other black men who didn't have that, and so most black men are always struggling, and we only know other black men that are struggling. We don't know other black men who are struggling but have found a way out of it that didn't result in something negative. I think finding a way to do it in a way that makes sense to us, right? Like not everybody wants to go on hikes to relieve their stress, and not every for black men that may not be the way to help them relieve their stress. Like maybe their version of a hike is something else, you know. And I think having black men in psychology or whatever is important, because then they can look at what these practices and techniques are and what's the point of all of it, and then be like, how can I mold this to fit within our culture to do something that makes these black men feel like it's something that they can confidently do, and makes sense and feels comfortable and is something that they can attach themselves to. So yeah, I get what he's saying. They want to see a cool black man with with great mental health, essentially. The problem is most cool black men don't have a great sense of mental health, and the ones we do see are, again, icons or celebrities or whatever that you'll never actually know. And those people always end up having, obviously, skeletons in their closets.
Let me tell y'all what Shannon needs. Let me tell you what my baby needs. He need him an old fat gal who can bake good cakes, make some smothered turkey wings, who gonna rub his feet at the nighttime. Okay, Shannon need. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl.
I do.
This is your auntie talking to you. Take your ass and get you an old bitch out there that can love you old.
A new legal war has begun, and this time it's between NFL Hall of Famer, podcaster, commentator Shannon Sharpe and the woman who's accusing him of sexually assaulting and raping her as recently as January of this year. Did Combs engage in a pattern of inducing women into sex acts with men using force, fraud, or coercion, sex trafficking? Did Combs use violence and threats and intimidation as the leader of a criminal enterprise in a pattern of abuse and sexual exploitation of women and violence against women and committing all these crimes? Did any of these events not actually happen? So these are the questions the jurors are going to have to wrestle with. Let's go to the texts. Oh, wow!
So they're not the perfect picture. They're not the picture of what a good mental health for a successful black man looks like either. And that is the challenge, is finding what feels cool, comfortable to follow, I guess.
Mental health industry. Well, we have to take more of a uncolonized approach to black mental health. We have to encourage one another that there are certain signs and symbols that are indicators of distress and not necessarily mental disorders or mental illnesses, right? But we need to be able to convey it to this unique group, black males, who have been born under racism. Because racism, aggression, and microaggression, born into that, makes something of you, right? It's exhausting. So when you start adding on debt and depression and divorce, you get the picture. You have now become exhausted, right? Not necessarily a mental illness, but things are definitely out of order, right? So that's what we need. We need the existing practitioners to become culturally competent on what this means for the people they serve. We need young college students who are black, preferably male, to be encouraged to go into mental health, right? We need the existing black practitioners to be amplified and elevated, right? And we need all of us to know that there is a unique experience for black males that starts when we are born, mostly caused by racism, right? Exacerbated by unemployment, increased with PTSD symptoms due to violence, right? And it starts when we're in elementary school with suspensions and special education referrals.
But I feel like you still have to go deeper than that, because in elementary school, I didn't have any of that. I didn't get suspended. I didn't get detentions. I didn't get referrals. I didn't get in trouble at school to any degree, you know? So I feel like that's still not enough of an understanding of what black male mental health could look like, because, you know, I may not go through all these issues in the education system as opposed to the next black man, you know, but we still face the same issues mentally when we think about certain things, or that goes through our minds, you know. So it's not necessarily I think what he's saying is that when you're born as a black person into this world, you're already born into a world that's already established how it's going to view you, irregardless, right? And so with that understanding comes a lot of different things, comes a lot of different realities, and being able to navigate that and not let it take over your life, I think is what he's saying, because we are born into a country that is built on the level of racism and ostracism and shit, to where black men, you know, even if you live in a city where everybody around you loves you and doesn't care about the color of your skin or whatever, you're still gonna feel that in you, you know. And that's the history of it, and that's the thing that I think that makes most black men struggle, is that being a good person as a black man is so hard to fulfill, because there are things in this world that make it difficult to even be a good person for black men, to even be successful, to even have the opportunities that other people would have, just because you are who you are, you know. So being able to navigate those realities, I think, is what black men need, and that's why we need black psychologists and shit, because we need to be here that, like, you know, what's happened in this situation or that situation, understand that has nothing to do with you. This is a thing to do with X, Y, and Z or whatever. That person was out of line or whatever. You can remedy the emotions that you're feeling instead of having all the anger, the depression, or the rage, or whatever, you know. So I get what he's saying. Like, the importance is strong, but I also don't think that it's impossible to not get a certain level of clarity from a psychologist that isn't black. Like, it doesn't always have to be that by hearing this stuff from a black psychologist, you suddenly start to be able to get these resolutions. I think what it comes down to is being able to talk to someone who can help you see things differently, see them from a better perspective than maybe the one you're looking at it, or help you get answers to questions that you may have, or help you develop some type of steps, or just having an awareness that you do have this other option that you may have never even heard of. You know, because most black people don't know about breathing or meditation or doing yoga or whatever. They might think it's dumb, but if they try it and it actually helps them, you know, that's now a new level to living that they never had. You know, and that doesn't come from it just being a black person. It just comes from a psychologist who's like, you know, I think you should try this. So yeah, that's what I think. I think he has a fair point, but I also think it can come from other sources. Like, I've had black therapists, but I've spoken to people who aren't black, and you know, it's not, to me, it's kind of the same, more or less, because I feel you'll always have to explain your lived experience no matter who you are, because everybody's different. So it's like sometimes you do have to explain things that maybe some that the therapist wouldn't fully understand or whatever. I just don't know if that'll happen more often, I guess, because you're black. You know, you can't assume that white people just live in this completely separate thing where they just completely don't understand anything about the black person lived experience, when it's like they can read in things. They know what history is. They know to a degree, you know what I mean? So at least they can start somewhere. It's not like it's something that you can never fully understand, and it's probably better that they do, so that way they can reach and help more people, you know. So I think it's like, it's not something that should just be exclusive, because otherwise, how is that really helping anyone? So
I implore all of us to sustain the existing mental health industry. We have to take into consideration the uniqueness of the black male mental health struggle. That goes for first responders on every level. That goes for clergy, university, teachers, students, nonprofit organizations, right? Law enforcers, lawmakers, politicians. All of us have to be re-educated on what that means uniquely for black males and our struggle.
But what does that actually mean, though? Like, now is my question, like, what does that actually mean? Because to me, to be honest, he has not actually explained what the black male mental health struggle is in this video. He told us his background, his story, and he told us what led him to become a therapist based on his experience, but he hasn't actually defined what the black male struggle is. He listed off some things, but these aren't exclusive to black men. Everybody goes through depression. Everybody can go through divorce. People can go through debt, despair, whatever. So, you know, these aren't exclusive to us. What makes us uniquely so that all these areas need to re-educate themselves on what our struggle is? Because to me, that makes it seem like we're just such a unicorn of issues that everybody has to just stop and learn. When I'm like, I don't know if it's that complicated. I think that everybody in these positions understands systemic racism. I think everybody in these positions understand to some level the issues that black men face, and the common things that happen in the life of a black man that may be a key to why they may either be depressed or why they may struggle with divorce or develop raising families, whatever the issue is. Right? It's not some unique thing. I think it's just, if you talk to a black man and he is going through stuff and you find out why, I think that's pretty much the answer right there. It doesn't mean like you will know the answer for it. I think just being heard is enough. So, yeah, okay.
And in the spirit of the late, great Earl DMX Simmons, in order to speak for the people, must walk amongst the people. Rest in peace, Dante Wright. Rest in peace, Adam Toledo. Rest in peace, George Floyd. Thank you.
All right. So like, all right, that one was pretty interesting. It was pretty cool. I liked it. See if we can find another one.